Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana bluntly blamed former President Jacob Zuma for South Africa's present financial catastrophe in a heated argument that highlights the ANC's deepening internal splits. Please kindly hit on the subscribe button as we go into the details. This is in reaction to charges made by the Umkhonto Sizwe Military Veterans Association, MKMVA, which recently expressed disapproval of Godongwana's economic management of the country. Godongwana did not hold back while speaking to the journalists at a news conference in Pretoria. He remarked that it is dishonest for anybody, especially those from the MKMVA, to attribute our financial problems on the present government alone. Actually, incompetence and corruption during Jacob Zuma's administration are the main causes of our current economic problems. A harsh statement by MKMVA spokesman Karl Niehaus, who said that the present administration was making poverty and unemployment worse, served as the impetus for the finance minister's comments. Godongwana's economic policies, according to Niehaus, are neoliberal and harmful to the poorest residents of the nation, suggesting that they are disconnected from the reality faced by average South Africans. Godongwana refuted these assertions by emphasizing the serious financial difficulties that the Zuma government left behind. He said that rampant corruption and state capture occurred between 2009 and 2018, gravely weakening our institutions and depleting public funds. We are still struggling with the debt and economic stagnation that resulted from the thievery and poor management during those years. Experts have observed that Godongwana's straightforward style represents a dramatic change in the internal dialogue inside the ANC. This level of open criticism within the party is rare and indicates a deepening rift, said political analyst Aubrey Matshiki. It also represents a larger battle for the ANC's soul, as the group struggles with its identity and course for the future. Jacob Zuma, the former president, has not yet addressed Godongwana's charges. Still, Zuma's ANC loyalists have already started to retaliate. Strongly endorsing Zuma, MKMVA has reaffirmed that post-Zuma leadership shortcomings are to blame for the present economic woes. With growing inflation, high unemployment rates, and a steadily expanding debt-to-GDP ratio, the South African economy is still under a lot of strain. These internal disputes and public arguments will probably become worse as the ANC gets ready for its national elective conference later this year, making it harder for the party to put on a unified face for voters. South Africans are keeping a careful eye on the situation in the meantime, hoping for decisions that would lead to stability and economic recovery in their nation. Once again, the Umkhonto Sizwe, MK, party and its leader, Jacob Zuma, have been personally held accountable by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana for South Africa's present financial problems. He maintained that the nation's growing debt was mostly caused by the billions that were invested in failed state-owned businesses during the state capture years. Godongwana's remarks were in reaction to MK Des Van Rooyen's critiques during a contentious parliamentary discussion on Treasury's budget on Wednesday afternoon. The finance minister with the shortest tenure in South Africa, Van Rooyen, slammed the budget as meaningless jargon. Once an ally of MK members, the finance minister did not mince words when it came to blaming former President Jacob Zuma for the budget shortfall and mounting debt. What happened, which members of the MK party can't accept, is that state capture crept in, led by their president, said Godongwana. The administration has been under fire from the MK party for failing to address the high unemployment rate among black graduates and to provide free education. Godongwana retaliated, pointing out that state-owned businesses were given our $520 billion in bailouts during the state takeover era. He stressed how these bailouts affected other important industries. From whence did that money originate? Godongwana inquired. As per their commander, our $60 billion was being slashed from the police, our $247 billion from health and education, and our $40 billion from the army. He was in charge of it. Van Rooyen also claimed that, based on their present jobs, former top Treasury officials were working with white-owned companies. Godongwana, nevertheless, persisted in emphasizing the financial malfeasance that occurred during Zuma's administration. The statements made by the finance minister highlight the continued hostility between representatives of the current government and those connected to the previous one. Deep disagreements within the governing party and its allies were brought to light throughout the discussion. mainly in regards to the legacy of state capture and how it continues to affect the nation's economy.